Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir. I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today and thank you for networking this information to those you know and love. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Now, there is an issue I cannot go into on this platform, obviously, because if I do, Dr. Peter McCullough and I have done a number of interviews together. He interviews me on his platform. I interview him on his platform as it relates to your health and wellness. And in particular, we're now talking about the avian flu. Well, folks, this is really important that you not be conned and coerced as you have been over the past 5 years on that other issue, right? So, I recently did an interview with Peter on this latest version of chaos that they're trying to implement. The key is exposing it early on. Now, if you go to davejanda.com, in the middle section of the homepage, there's like a film strip area looking. Those interviews are there with Peter. But in particular, the last one, as it relates to this most recent situation with avian flu. This is not as it appears, okay? Not as you are being told. Peter and I dissected. I cannot mention any of that on this platform, which is why you need to go to davejanda.com. The videos are free. Go in the middle. And we hope that you'll want to become part of our Freedom family after you watch those videos, because I go into tremendous depth on issues that I cannot on any social media platform or on the radio because of the choke points in the FCC and in all these social media platforms. Now, today, we're going to talk about how corrupt is the government. I don't know. How deep is a black hole, right? Yeah, I know. From 100 years ago, the mayor of New York, John Hyland, said the following. Quote, "The real menace of our republic is the invisible government which, like a giant octopus, sprawls its slimy legs over our cities, states, and nation. At the head is a small group of banking houses generally referred to as international bankers. This little coterie runs our government for their own selfish ends. It operates under cover of a self-created screen and seizes our executive officers, legislative bodies, schools, courts, newspapers, and every agency created for the public protection," end quote. That's from the 1920s. John Hyland, the former mayor of New York. Can you imagine the current mayor of New York and the last, I don't know how many mayors they saying that? No, forget it. They're all puppets. Middle level, low level puppets. But he's right. Government is incredibly corrupt at all levels. Recently, Congressman Tim Burchett, him and just a couple others, are the only ones in Congress who tend to be able to speak their mind. Why? Because they're probably the only ones that aren't owned, controlled, bribed, blackmailed, coerced. Here's what he recently said. "How corrupt is the U.S. government? If anyone were to leak where the money goes when the Pentagon fails their audits, they'd be murdered." That's what he said. Quote, "The Pentagon that has billions of dollars that they hide, we don't ask for any accounting of. They never pass an audit in the history of audits. I've often said the only way we're really going to get to the bottom of this is, well, somebody in the government walks out of one of these labs with this information and puts it out on the internet before they commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head 5 times, end quote. Just think of the past 5 years. The coercion, the con. Everybody was conned and coerced. And those of us that tried to get the information out were silenced. We're stripped of our social media presence. Why? Because if folks are uninformed, then they really don't know how they're being conned and coerced and stripped of their freedoms and liberties. As I see it, one of the main purposes of government is to protect your safety and security. Well, they're failing on that miserably. But understand this. That's not an accident. It's not a bad set of circumstances. It's willful. It's willful. And it's not from incompetence. It's willful. Captain Joseph John recently wrote the following. Obama's open border policy allowed invading enemy military forces that far outnumber U.S. Army and Marine Corps ground forces by more than 900%. Not an accident, not a coincidence, not from incompetence. It's willful. For over the last 3.5 years, Obama's open border policy has been encouraging 180 countries to invade the United States in violation of the U.S. federal immigration laws aggressively supported and coordinated by the United Nations. To date, over 14 million illegal aliens, including over 400,000 communist Chinese military personnel, cybersecurity hackers, and drug dealers, have invaded the United States, and it is an invasion. Thousands of heavily armed Mexican drug cartel members have also been invading the United States for 3.5 years to establish drug distribution networks throughout the United States. Invading Chinese communist drug dealers have been working with the Mexican drug cartels smuggling fentanyl in the United States, killing 300 young Americans every day, 365 days a year, resulting in the death of over 100,000 America's youth each year. To date, over 600,000 young Americans have been murdered by communist Chinese fentanyl poison. Not an accident, not a bad set of coincidences, not from incompetence. All willful. The invasion of the United States is being coordinated by the communist leaders of the UN, who have been recruiting an endless stream of 350,000 illegal aliens each month. The United States contributes approximately $2.3 billion annually to fund the United Nations. The United Nations Interagency Coordination Program for Refugees and Migrants is coordinating the world's invasion of the United States. Through that UN's arm, the UN has been handing out debit cards and cash vouchers to millions of illegal aliens each year, covering their travel costs from South America north to the U.S.-Mexican border and in the United States. The UN, with the help of 248 named non-governmental organizations, NGOs, has been funding the settlement of 14 million invading illegal aliens. Just for the past 3 years, the Biden-Obama administration has been having U.S. taxpayers pay for the invasion of these 14 million illegal aliens into the U.S. and pay for their living expenses in the United States, while homeless U.S. veterans are condemned to sleep on the streets and do not even receive what an illegal alien receives. That's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not from incompetence. It's willful. You see, this invading force is going to be used in the upcoming Summer of Love of 2024, prior to the election. You see, the JV team, BLM and Antifa, have been sidelined, and now they're bringing in the pros. And that's this invasion force that we'll use to create havoc, so that the powers that be can say, we care about you. And we think that we should do universal mail-in voting. Because if you go to the poll, you might get hurt. Yeah. It's all coordinated. That's not conspiracy theory. It might be conspiracy, but it's conspiracy reality. And this illegal alien fighting force, because that's what they are, invasion force, they're meant to create havoc. Chaos. Denver illegals make demands. What? make demands include culturally appropriate food, lawyers, unlimited showers, and warnings before they even are targeted for eviction. Illegal immigrants at a Denver, Colorado encampment that is set to be removed are refusing to leave until the city meets at least a list of 13 demands, which include access to fresh, culturally appropriate ingredients for food, unlimited showers, the same housing support that has been offered to others, legal services, and a fair warning before kicking them out. But it's not just here in the United States. Foreign migrants account for nearly 6 in 10 violent crime suspects in Germany. This is from Paul Joseph Watson. Foreign migrant suspects are responsible for nearly 6 in 10 violent crimes in Germany, according to new figures released by the federal government. Despite comprising roughly 14.6% of the population, foreign migrants were responsible for 58.5% of the violent crimes. And the banksters are critical proponents, advocates in this operation. Because it's the banking families that are running this. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Lazards, the Pincusses, the Warbecks, the Seifs, the Loebs, and the very top, the Payseur, Payseur family, running this through their tentacles. The U.S. Justice Department is investigating TD Bank and how Chinese drug traffickers used it to launder profits from selling fentanyl in the United States. Yeah, TD Bank. The banks are integral in the drug trafficking operation. If you don't believe me, read the book The Infiltrator. Watch the movie The Infiltrator. Bob Mazur has been a regular guest on our platform in the past. Watch it. Banksters are complicit. And it's not from an accident, and it's not from incompetence, and it's not from a bad set of coincidences. It's willful. And it puts you and your family in harm's way. And now they're coming after your food supply. In a nutshell, now remember those videos with Peter McCullough, homepage free, davejanda.com. Film strip area right in the middle. We talk about the avian flu, as I mentioned. And that really it's an attack on our food supply, in a nutshell. Reader's Digest version. Now, there's something else going on. We've seen all these food processing plants spontaneously catching fire, blowing up around the world, around the country, right? Attack on the food supply. But then there's something else going on that you're not aware of because they don't want you to be aware of it. But I'm going to make you aware of it. The breaking farm credit fiasco that nobody's prepared for that will adversely affect food supply. This was put forward by an insider, Brianna Sogdal. America's farmers and farmlands are facing a multi-pronged attack from within the governing structure meant to protect the nation's food supply. Willful. Tennessee rancher and agricultural attorney Dustin Kittle has just filed a lawsuit against Joe Biden for alleged failures to execute his duties as whatever he is, president, I guess, regarding the functioning of the Farm Credit Administration. Unfortunately, this non-functioning regulatory board, courtesy of the Biden administration, is tasked with overseeing the farm credit system and all of its lending institutions across the country. According to the allegations, Kittle and other farmers have been extorted. Imagine the government extorting citizens. Extorting by threats to take their farmlands without remedy or oversight from the Farm Credit Administration. What began as a simple loan restructuring may uncover perhaps the most egregious and predatory lending scandal this country has yet to fully feel the effects of, all of which leads back to this agency, this Farm Credit Administration. Biden's failure to appoint a functioning board and special interests blocking a Trump-era appointment in the Senate Agricultural Committee. Akin to the 2008, remember that Fannie Freddie fiasco, the farm credit scandal could have resounding impacts on America's food security, national security, and global commodity markets. Yeah. Meanwhile, are you aware? Foreign ownership of farmland in the United States? Oh, I'm aware that. How about the magnitude of it? They don't want you to know this. According to the most recent USDA report on agricultural lands, 43.4 acres, no, 43.4 million acres, of all U.S. farmlands and 909,000 of non-agricultural lands, 909,000 acres, are now owned by foreign interests. What did Hank Kissinger, that globalist piece of garbage who's burning in hell right now, say? He who controls the food supply controls the people. So, folks, the bottom line is this. They don't want you to know this. Because when you become aware of it, awakened versus woke, awakened to this information, you network it. And you become dangerous to their system. Good. H.L. Mencken said, quote, "The most dangerous man to any government is the man who's able to think things out for himself without regard to the prevailing superstitions and taboos. Almost inevitably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable." H.L. Mencken, American journalist in the early 1900s. Well, folks, it's time to network this information. Because there comes a point in time when even those that have been naive to the government and their corruption, when they're confronted with these facts, say, no mas, no more. No more, no more. And they confront peacefully those that are at all levels of government, federal, state, local, say, we're wise to your actions. Stop it. If not, we're going to find somebody to run against you in the primary, or we're going to just, remove you. We're going to recall you. Yeah. Stop it. Not just stop it. Fix it. If you're not going to fix it, we're going to replace you. Yeah. In the next election. Boom. You see, all these people in government are cockroaches. They are afraid of the light of truth. That's where you come in. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. Nothing wrong with that. I thank you for your time today. Go to DaveJanda.com. Check out those videos. You'll be happy you did. It'll put you ahead of the curve. Because I can't talk about it on this platform, but I can at DaveJanda.com. Become part of our freedom family. I go into great depth on the subscription side on issues that put you months, years, and in some cases, decades ahead of the curve. Our subscribers will tell you the information on our platform, on the subscription side, has saved their lives. Not an overstatement, true. That's what we're there for. Use it. Become part of our freedom family. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.